one thing Mhairi and I have learned is that, again, when you're going into this, everyone comes up with a business plan. It's a 3-year plan. But how do you know it's 3 years? We built our health clubs in London with a 3-year plan. But I think we're probably in there 9 years because things change. You know, there's a financial crash. There's things along the way that don't go exactly as planned, or it goes better than planned. But yeah, the one thing for sure you cannot say is I'm going to start a business and I'm going to exit in 3 years from today. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I hear those conversations a lot with the growth plans. It's like, okay, if that was so easy, everyone would be doing this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The classic thing on the spreadsheet hero thing that Mhairi alluded to earlier, and everybody can do a spreadsheet. If you are in if you've got investors and you're coming to the end of your financial year and it's a March year end, and you're doing 50,000 revenue forecast in March, but you're forecasting a budget for next year, April's revenue should not be 90 grand. People think that, yeah, it's a new year, it's all going to be different. I'm going to go from 50. I've been doing 35, 40, 45, 50, 90. It's never going to happen. That is often what happens. And you do get into, I mean, if I go back to our experience of working with venture capitalists, the people who backed us were great, no problem about it. But there was an element of that. It was, you need to hit this number or else.
Yeah.
And actually, that's not really helpful because that number is, you can easily write it on a spreadsheet. But come April the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, your rolling revenue is not 90, it's still 50. And you're off target. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, maybe a good segue then too into the next question that I had for you guys is, what kind of data points are you evaluating when it comes to, basically anticipating the value and the growth potential of an investment? What kind of stuff do you guys look at?
Well, the numbers do have to be solid. So, I mean, Andy's saying there about, your forecast can't suddenly jump.
Yeah.
So broadly, the numbers have to make common sense because you just need to be able to explain changes and why certain things are where they are, if you like. So usually I do big, broad numbers when I'm looking at spreadsheets. Usually they're full of numbers and you just think, oh my goodness, look at that. But just do some simple back checks as usually to see do they make sense? Have they got the right amount of cash in the business? Because working capital is important. So one can start with 100,000 in the bank and you might show a forecast that goes down to like 2,000 in the bank and then goes back up. And you might think that's all right. As an investor, you're looking at it going, I don't think so. Just having £2,000 in the bank is not where you want to be. You need to keep a bit of a margin in there because, as we all know, hardly anyone hits a forecast. Hardly anyone. And that is just an absolute fact. So one has to bear that in mind. And what was the other thing I was going to say about the numbers, actually? Forgotten. Cash, make sure it makes sense. Oh, yeah, on your pricing policy, this is quite an interesting one. When you're B2C, even if you're B2B, just make sure you do understand your pricing policy and why you've done what you've done. So it's quite interesting. One of our investments, I won't say who, we were having a Zoom call, just bringing us up to date, and just questioned on the pricing policy. And everything got a little bit fuzzy, a little bit not quite sure what's going on. And one has to be clear about why you're charging what you charge. That might sound easy, and you might sort of peel off your competitor's pricing policy and stick it on. Is that the right thing to do, and why have you done it? So one thing, that's things I look for is cash level. Do the numbers make sense, and have you worked through the pricing policy?
Yeah. So if someone just comes to you guys and say, okay, it's going to be £40 a month for the membership, but they can't back up why it's going to be £40 or what's accounted for in that membership cost, that's a red flag.
Well, it's a bit of you can turn around and say, well, would you pay £40 a month for that? How many people do you know pay £40 a month for that? Or if they're pricing an app and you say, how many apps right now on your phone are you paying a subscription for?
Yeah.
And how many are you on freemium? Or if it's free with adverts, would you pay for it? And you just got to make people think about how, just because you wish for something to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen. You pull them back to real life and say, okay, how many people do you know pay for that?
Yeah.
And it just brings it right back down to proper practicalities. Yeah, if you've got the answer, great.